I'd like to welcome you all, residents and visitors, to our North Shore Towers, Towers on the Green. I'd like to welcome all our political representatives, Barry Gudenchik, Melinda Katz, some other people from the Finance Department, the Department of Aging. I don't remember all your names, and I apologize for that. Diane. Anyway, we got the board members here, Steve Redlick, Dr. Goldsmith, Fred Chernow, Phyllis Goldstein, Bob Ricken, myself. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Anyway, so we're all here not to hear me, but we're here to hear Mayor de Blasio. And on that point, that note, I will say, here's Mayor de Blasio.
You're brilliant. Mario, thank you very much. That's my kind of introduction. Thank you, Mario. Thank you for your leadership. Everyone on the board, thank you. I am so pleased to be here. This place is kind of legendary, I have to tell you, as the epitome of a middle-class community that works. I know there are people here who brought up their families here and stayed and have loved every moment of it. This is a tight-knit community. This is a wonderful community. And it's, to me, a real pleasure to be with you to talk about the ways we have to keep supporting and uplifting a community like this, because even though it's been tight-knit, even though so many families have succeeded here, even though so many people love living here, we know what's happened in our city. This city has gotten more and more expensive. Cost of living has gone up and up. It's gotten tougher for people to make ends meet, even middle-class folks. So I wanted to get together with you today to talk about that, and I want you to hear, of course, from the elected officials who represent the community. So I'm going to say a few things, they're going to say a few things, and I look forward to going around and meeting everyone. But look, you know, in so many ways, North Shore Towers represents the American dream, right? That people worked really, really hard. Everyone worked hard here, right? People worked really hard to make sure, still working hard, there you go, to make sure they could get a place to live that was really right for bringing up a family and for staying for the long term. And that dream has been realized here. We've got to keep it that way. We know all over the city, all over the country, a lot of folks who reach the middle class are now finding it hard to stay in the middle class and to live the kind of lifestyle they deserve. And that's where we have to come in and do more and more to help people out and help make people's lives better. So I'm going to say a few things about that effort. But I want to take a moment to also thank, before you hear from me and the elected officials, I wanted to thank people who do so much in our city government to improve the lives of everyday New Yorkers, and obviously to improve the lives of residents of Queens. And by the way, you know it's Queens Week, right? Everyone knows it's Queens Week. The whole city government, you've heard the phrase, but I want to make sure you understand what it means. The entire city government, all the deputy mayors, all the commissioners, everyone relocated out of City Hall, out of their buildings, and went to Borough Hall in Queens. So the whole government's here. The only question is Melinda Katz going to let us go back to City Hall, or is she going to keep us here? Yes. Okay, you're going to let us go back? Okay. But I want to mention some commissioners who do so much good for this city. First of all the wonderful senior programs that the City of New York supports. That's because of the good work of our Commissioner for the Department for the Aging, Donna Corrado. Where are you, Donna? Take a bow. Stand up. Come on, Donna. And this city does so much to provide opportunity and equality for people with disabilities. And there are a lot of, we don't recognize in society enough just how many people face a disability, and it's our job to help make sure their lives can be good and equal, and there's opportunity throughout. And the guy who helps us do that every day is our Commissioner, Victor Calisi. Victor, thank you so much. And this is the man you want to know, because we're going to talk about tax breaks for homeowners who are seniors. We're going to talk about rent freezes for renters who are seniors. All of that goes back to the Department of Finance, the man with the money. And the good news is he likes to give it away to people who need help, especially seniors. Commissioner for the Department of Finance, Jacques Jihad. Thank you so much. And finally, I want to point out these great young people here who are doing such important work. Everyone in this room knows, I'm going to do a show of hands, how many people at some point in your life were frustrated in dealing with the city government bureaucracy? Raise your hand if you've had a frustrating experience with the bureaucracy. I'm a homeowner in Brooklyn. I will raise my hand too, because I've had the experience as well. So these folks are from the Public Engagement Unit, and it's a great operation that goes out into communities and talks to people about what they need and helps them cut red tape and get the help they need. So today we're going to talk about some of these opportunities to get you support that you may not realize you deserve from the city government. Let's thank them for taking government out to the people and making it work for them. So let me go right into the changes that we're making. But first, where do we start? So we just finished a legislative session up in Albany. My colleagues will talk about that. They did great work. Before that legislative session, here was the deal. If you are a homeowner, senior, or disabled, and you made up to $37,400, you got property tax relief. But a lot of people didn't even know they qualified. So they could have gotten a property tax break, and they didn't even know it. So one of the things we keep promoting is right now, if you are a homeowner, you make up that amount of money, you can get a break. We want these good folks to help sign up anyone who qualifies. But we also wanted to go farther, and so we worked with our colleagues in Albany, and we put this money in the city budget to make those tax breaks deeper, to reach more people. So a piece of legislation was passed in Albany. It is now awaiting the governor's signature. I'm very hopeful that the governor is going to sign it because there are thousands of seniors who will benefit. And here's what the new rule will be. If you make up to $58,400 in household income, you will get a tax break on your property tax bill. That's what the new law is. So we know that's going to make a huge difference for so many people. People like the idea of more property tax breaks for seniors? I think you do. So this bill is going to reach 32,000 senior households. 1/3 of them are in the borough of Queens. So this is a bill that, then I know the borough president likes this phrase, this will disproportionately help Queens. Do you like that? You like the sound of that? Pro-Queens legislation. Here's the other thing. 32,000 households will benefit. Here is the average benefit per year. $1,750 back in your pocket. That's real money, my friends. And that's money people can use for everything in their life. Look, I've heard from so many people, I've heard from seniors again, folks who worked hard to be a part of the middle class and did everything right throughout their life, but are still struggling, making tough choices between what they have to pay for housing, for medicine, for food, all the basics. We want to lighten that burden. So we know for the folks who qualify here, if you're getting typically you're getting $1,750 back in your pocket, that's really going to allow people to live a better life, and that's every year. And we want to keep doing things like that to help. So with that, since I've now established that this is legislation that especially helped Queens, and we were honored to put the money to pay for it in the last city budget voted on last month, this is a good time to welcome forward a woman who every day fights for Queens. I need to tell you, this is a phrase that maybe you think is a good or a bad thing, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Melinda Katz is a nudge, okay? She calls, and Vicki, you're right, in the best way, I think. She calls me, she emails me, she texts me. Wherever I go, she finds me. And she's always got something she wants for Queens, and she will not stop. I'm being followed, and she will not stop. And that describes a great borough president. Ladies and gentlemen, Melinda Katz.
You got it with Bill. You got it.
Yeah.
How is Mayor de Blasio? Come on, he's awesome. We want to thank the leadership here of North Shore Towers, Mario, Stanley, everybody who is welcoming us here today. And I want to thank the mayor for being in Queens this week. I have to tell you, it is not easy for me to find someone that I have trouble keeping up with, right? Most people have trouble keeping up with me. I have finally found my match in Mayor de Blasio. He has been across this borough listening one by one into every constituent that wanted to talk to him. And it has been an amazing experience for me to listen as he does that and then invites up commissioners to answer the questions in detail. And I want to thank him. You know, many of you knew my father, David Katz, of the Queen Symphony Orchestra, and my mom is the Queen Symphony Orchestra. A lot of you went to the concerts. And my mom is the Queen's Council on the Arts. And I used to say, you never have to go over a bridge or a tunnel to get great culture and arts. You can get it right here in Queens. Mayor de Blasio has proven you can get great city hall and great responses to government in all 5 boroughs of the city of New York. And I want to thank him for that experience this week. We're excited to be here with Assemblyman Weprin and Councilman Grodenchik and Assemblyman Braunstein, of course, great elected officials in this community. And so we want to thank them for the great work that they give them a round of applause, the great work that they do. And I want to thank the mayor for acknowledging and understanding that seniors have invested their whole lives to the neighborhoods. And in Queens, so many of you come from the great borough of Queens and have decided to come here to live. And the fact that we are having new tax breaks, the fact that we are together investing in culture throughout the borough, investing in transportation, investing on the things that matter to the future of this borough, like full-day pre-K for every one of our children and grandchildren, is really an amazing tribute. So I enjoy working with the mayor. I also enjoy working with the First Lady. And so, Mr. Mayor, I'm about to leave here in a few minutes and go join your wife, Shirley McCrae, Mrs. Mayor, in order to, because another initiative by the administration and my office, which is to hand out safe sleeping units to babies throughout the borough of Queens, because no mother should have to worry about where their babies sleep at night. And I want to thank her for her leadership and guidance on so many healthcare issues in the city of New York. It's been an honor to have you at City Hall. Thank you. At Borough Hall. Thank you.
And Borough Hall is City Hall this week. Okay? Thank you so much, Borough President. So, you know, I talked about the point about how we put money back in people's pockets, and particularly folks who need it to live a decent life. So I want you to know your assemblyman has been kind of obsessed with this topic. And I know he's made it a focal point of his work in Albany to look at how to bring fairness to seniors in particular and how to make sure the tax system is more fair. And that is tough work. That's not easy. But he's devoted himself to it. So I want to congratulate him. Let's bring forward your assemblyman, Ed Braunstein. And he's one of the only elected officials that makes me stand up straight. Like, look at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And let me thank you for not only yourself, but bringing your staff here to Queens this week. Thank you. I think, you know, it's one thing you could take phone calls from people and listen to what they have to say, but there's nothing like standing out on the street with them, going to their delis and their restaurants, and talking to them right where they live and work to understand their issues. And I think it's a great practice, and I think it's something that all mayors moving forward should institute, and I appreciate it. I also want to thank you for pushing for this legislation that I was happy to vote for in Albany. In meeting with constituents and taking phone calls here in Northeast Queens, we encounter a lot of senior citizens who a lot of times are on fixed incomes, and they find it difficult to keep up with their increasing property taxes and maintenance costs. You know, your pension only goes up so much, your Social Security only goes up so much, but it seems that your property taxes especially are going up at almost an exponential rate, and it's very often difficult to keep up. So this property tax break and increasing the income threshold will help a lot of senior citizens be able to stay in their homes, and I applaud you for coming to Albany and pushing for it, and I think it's definitely going to help a lot of people. And you're right. I mean, I think it's funny that you said I'm obsessed with the property tax issue. I think that's an accurate way to describe it. I hear Barry laughing. I know David Weprin knows. But, you know, and you brought it up, but, you know, I'll remind you, and I know that you've committed to addressing this issue, but there's tremendous inequities in our property tax system. And out here in Northeast Queens, especially in the co-op community, we know that better than anybody else. Yes. And everybody agrees that we have to pay our fair share, and we want to live in a city that provides services and care for everybody. But everybody should have to make the same commitment. And if you look at the property tax system, even between single-family homeowners in different boroughs or co-op owners, whether it's out here in Queens or they pay less than co-op owners right on the east and west side of Central Park. So we've been fighting for years to try and bring fairness to that issue. And I know that you're aware of that, and I know that, and I understand, it's a very difficult issue to confront. Because when you do level the playing field, there are going to be some people who are getting a break right now who may, at the end of the day, be asked to pay a little bit more. But it's definitely something that we need bold leadership, and we need to just roll up our sleeves and make sure that we can make it happen. I know you've made a commitment that should you be reelected, that you're going to make that a priority, and I'm happy to hear that. And I look forward to being an ally with you and doing anything I can to make sure that we can finally make our property tax system fair here in the city of New York. So once again, it's an honor to be here. When you go around talking to this crowd, there's such incredible people here, people from different industries and backgrounds, so knowledgeable, so very opinionated, I'll tell you. But I find that just spending a few hours here every once in a while and talking to these constituents, I leave smarter and with better ideas for moving our state forward, and I think you'll find it the same thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, brother. Thank you, Ed. So I want to make 2 points from what Ed said. First of all, while we're on the way to trying to figure out the bigger solution on the property tax system, again, we need to make sure that everyone who qualifies for these property tax breaks gets them. And as I said, there's also a rent freeze for seniors who are renters. But it's amazing. On that rent freeze for seniors, there's about 70,000 seniors and also disabled folks who are qualifying for rent freeze and not getting it yet because they have not known to fill out the paperwork or didn't know how to fill out the paperwork or whatever it was. So we're trying to get to all of them. But the same on this with the property tax break for senior homeowners. Right now, there's lots of people qualify, aren't getting that money in their pocket. That's why these good people do their work. And I'm asking everyone today, after today, to please spread the word. Anyone that you know, family, friends, to let them know that there's money available they may not be taking advantage of. We want to get it to them. But to the other point Ed made, he's totally right. I want to be very straightforward about this. The property tax system, I don't know how it got this way. I really don't, over decades. It's clearly not consistent across boroughs and across types of homes. It doesn't make sense. It's not transparent enough. What I've said is we're going to have to do something very, very challenging but very necessary, which is to reform the entire thing. And Ed's right. Some people in that process, when you really even it out and create consistency, some people end up paying a little more or maybe a lot more. Some people a little less or maybe a lot less. But whatever it is, we have to do a public process out in front of all the people of the city where we look at the different issues and figure out what fairness looks like and what consistency looks like. And then we have to pass legislation at the city level and the state level. And that's going to be a huge endeavor. But I want you to know I've heard from so many people in Queens, not just during Queens Week, but for years, that this is not a fair situation. And the only way to solve it is to open up the hood, look at the whole thing, and rework the entire property tax system. So that's what I'm committed to do. Will not be easy, but it's something that the people of New York City deserve. With that, I want to bring forward someone who I've worked with for years and years, and he is an incredible public servant, He was the chair of the Finance Committee in the City Council, so he knows plenty about this issue, too. He's certainly one of the people I'm going to be turning to for help and advice as we figure out what a fair property tax system looks like. But he has been an outstanding public servant now, representing so many people in Queens and Albany and doing it well. Assemblymember David Weprin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for coming to Queens, spending so much time here, and really bringing all your commissioners. Your assemblyman is Ed Braunstein, although I did represent North Shore Towers during my 8 years in the City Council. But I'm really here as the son of one of your residents, my mother, Sylvia Weprin, over there. And I do come to North Shore Towers pretty regularly. My mother will tell you it's not enough.
You need to visit your mother more. I'm giving a mayoral order. You need to visit your mother more.
Thank you. But I really want to thank Mayor de Blasio and all his commissioners for really working so closely with Ed and me and being up in Albany and helping to make co-op funding and co-op treatment fair, as well as treating our seniors with the respect and dignity that they deserve. And I see Commissioner Victor Calisi. I used to chair the Task Force on People with Disabilities. Now I'm in charge of the Corrections Committee in Albany. But I work very closely with Commissioner Calisi. And as former Mayor Dinkins, where Mayor de Blasio started, used to say, we're all temporarily abled. And a lot of residents realize that here, that we're all at one point going to have a disability. And it's so important that our government is there to make New York City accessible to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Last but not least, so this man is a wise man. He's done different things in government. He has really won the respect of people all over the city for his knowledge of how government works and how to get things done. But I have to tell you something. He has another hidden skill, another part of his life that people don't talk about, but I have seen with my own eyes. I'm going to divulge this now, Barry. Okay? This man, Barry Grodenchik, is an outstanding volleyball player. Okay? Now, he doesn't show you his really buff physique, typically behind that business suit. But once he gets on the volleyball court, he is a monster. And I commend you, and I thank you for all you're doing for these communities. Council member Barry Grodenchik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was a long time ago when we played, but maybe I'll see you at the council outing tomorrow.
In my mind, though.
But it's still on his. He was kind of shocked that the short Jewish guy from Queens could actually do sports. That was really what was going on there. So let me say thank you. A lot has been said this morning by our borough president, our assembly members, but I do want to say a couple of things. One, do you know which precinct you live in? Most people never have to call the police, right? But we live in the 105th precinct. And the 105th precinct goes all the way from North Shore Towers all the way down to a community called Meadowmere. And I won't ask you where that is because most New Yorkers don't know where it is. It's an old fishing village that happens to be in the 105. For 40 years, the people of Board 13 have asked for a precinct in the southern part of Community Board 13 so that we could have a reasonable response time from New York's finest. Ed Koch didn't do it. Rudy Giuliani didn't do it. Mike Bloomberg. Nobody did it. But this man put his money, your money, where his mouth is, and I want to thank him for that. We made the announcement on Monday morning. It was the first thing you did this week here in Queens with our borough president and the elected officials from that community. So I'm really excited because it's going to lower police response times. This is the fourth largest precinct in the city of New York, but it's probably got the longest run from stretch to stretch. And God forbid that the Cross Island Parkway is jammed because it's always jammed, but that's the way it is. So I want to thank him for that. I want to thank him for hearing our cry on property taxes. When I won the primary with many of your support almost 2 years ago, it was Erev Rosh Hashanah, and the mayor called me, and I was on my way to synagogue, and he asked me, what do you need? And we talked about property tax relief for co-ops and condos here in Eastern Queens. I've been working on this issue since I got elected with Ed and with David and we really welcome you to this fight, Mr. Mayor. He has seen the inequity. My district has almost 20,000 co-op and condo units, middle-class, affordable housing. I've talked to him enough about this, but we're going to be watching and we're going to be working with you, your finance people, the council finance people, and most importantly, our representatives in Albany to get this done. And lastly, I want to thank the mayor for his commitment to the education of our children. How many former educators or current educators do we have in this room? So they understand. We have lots of retired teachers and principals and administrators here. I have asked the mayor, and he responded. He increased fair student funding, and if I was to explain what that is, we'd be here till tomorrow morning. We'd have to serve lunch, breakfast, dinner, and everything. I'm not going to explain, but Bill de Blasio heard us, and he increased it from 82 to 87% for all of our schools at a bedrock minimum. The bottom line is it's meant millions and millions of dollars extra for the students in this community. I also want to thank him. Martin Van Buren High School, as many of you know, it was one of the great high schools in the city of New York. And over time, it kept going down. Over the last several years, we have a new principal there, Mr. Sochet, and the commitment that the mayor has made to the children that attend that school, the attendance rate is up from 80 to 87%, but the graduation rate over 5 years has increased an astonishing 21 percentage points from 45% to 66%. And next year, the principal promises me we're going to get to 70%. These are things that matter. They matter to you. Public safety matters to you. The education of our children matters. And, of course, your property values depend on how good our schools are. So I'm delighted to be here with you. Lastly, and I'd be remiss, Felice Hanna knows all about this, and all of you know about this. Soon after I took office, your excellent New York DOT Commissioner for Queens, Nicole Garcia, spent a very cold hour with us out on Little Neck Parkway and Grand Central Parkway Service Road. And the bottom line very quickly is that your administration responded to our concerns. We don't have the turning signal, but we have everything that's just as good. We have another phase in traffic there. It was one of the first times it was done in the city of New York, and it has increased the safety of the riding public here in Eastern Queens, and especially the 1,800 families here. I think the mayor deserves a round of applause for that. And absolutely lastly, Mr. Mayor, when you go outside, you'll notice we need the double yellow line repaved. Thank you, and God bless you all.
All right. Barry, I'm going to get you your double yellow line, okay? That's a commitment. Everyone, thank you so much for the chance to be with you. I look forward to going around and meeting each and every one of you, and thank you very much. God bless you all.